Hey everyone, this time on Tim Talks Audio, we're checking out the latest plugin from our friends at Safari Pedals. This is PixelCat. Hi, if it's your first time here, my name is Tim. I'm a recording and mix engineer, and I want to make things easier for you. We're checking out PixelCat, a bit crusher from our friends at Safari Pedals. And what does this do? It makes your stuff sound old, retro, almost video gamey. It has a couple other features built in as well, and we're going to check it out right now. Let's dive into DAW. So here it is. This is PixelCat from Safari Pedals. It has the same kind of motif that we usually see in most of the Safari Pedals plugins where it looks like a pedal. We're going to go over the controls very quickly, but if you want to jump ahead to the audio examples, use the chapters down below. Along top, we've got our preset browser. We've seen this before. Be able to go through here, read the manual, master bypass up on top, blend control, built-in clipper, save your own preset or destroy your own preset if you want to do that. Then if we go into the main interface, we have an input control on the left-hand side, an output control on the right-hand side, and in the middle on top, the A gain, that's auto gain. You turn that on. If you push in, output will come down. Same thing, pull it down, output comes back up. I was holding Option and clicked on my mouse to reset it back to normal. That'll be Alt on a PC if you want to do that. Now let's get down underneath here. The big knob in the center. Bits. This is how many audio bits in the engine are allowed to process your audio. And that sounds weird. And as we get into the audio, you'll hear, but I like to reference old video games, things like the Super Nintendo or even the Sega Genesis or the original Nintendo. They only had so much processing power. They had only so many bits. We've explained bits before in the past on this channel, but a real fast summary is when we're looking at amplitude of a signal that is getting captured digitally, we know that sample rate is how many pictures of the audio is taken per second. 44.1, 48K, so on and so forth. But the other number, sometimes we see 16, sometimes we see 24, 32 float, 64 float. That is how tall those individual pictures can be. So it is essentially more headspace, more amplitude for your machine before it goes into clipping and digital distortion. As we reduce that, we then start getting into artifacting in a kind of cool way. Again, I go retro games and like that kind of sound, and you'll see in our example, which we're going to get into. So bits, we're starting at 14, so we're already reducing. Remember, CDs, that was 16-bit. Streaming these days and like DVDs, that's 24-bit generally. So we can already see we're already at a reduction, and you can just keep going down from there all the way down to 2 bits. That's really squashed. You're not going to get much, and it's going to cut off real fast too. So we're going to mess around with this in just a few minutes in our audio examples. You may have noticed to the left, we have Spring. That's right, built-in Spring Reverb. You can just click on the LED above it to turn it on or off if you want it. Sure, let's turn it on. And it by default, it does start at 16%. Just to give you a little, you can bring this down to 0 and maybe automate it up to just add in some Spring Reverb. To the right of that is Rate. And in my opinion, Rate is not the right name for this control. It's more so like the distortion or the crunch level. When you have it lower, it's not as crispy crunchity, and then as you increase it, it's gonna sound more and more crushed and pixelated, even with the bits being reduced. You'll hear that in our audio examples. Underneath those two are kind of pretty standard controls. We have a tone control, shift it lower for enhancing the lower frequencies and shift it higher for bringing the top end out. And then of course, drive is exactly what you think, built-in saturation, increase, it's a percentage wherever you want to put this. The LEDs turn it on and off. You can resize your plugin from down here. That's basically all of the controls. Now let's get into how this thing sounds. I have a drum loop, which we're going to use today. On its own, it sounds like this. Pretty straightforward drum loop. Now in its default iteration, and I'm even going to do exactly that. I'm just going to go right back to default, put everything back to normal. Let's just drop this on, and I'll wait a bar before I put it in to remind you of how this sounds originally. You probably heard it immediately, but that Spring Reverb is already just giving us a little extra length, which on a drum loop, yeah, maybe you need. that you can play with this in your productions. But now I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna let the loop play, and I'm just gonna mess around with the controls so you guys can hear what PixelCat can really do. I had a lot of fun when we got down to 3 bits. Let's mess around with rate, and maybe we'll just turn Spring off for this one. Let's keep going. So as you can see, you can have a lot of fun really digitizing whatever your signal might be. In this case, it was a drum loop, but you can certainly do this across an instrumental. You could do this across a vocal. You could do this across so many different things to create an intro, to make music for a video game. You could use this for all kinds of different transition parts, or just something to make you go, huh, that was weird. So there it is. That is PixelCat from our friends over at Safari Pedals. If you're interested in picking up your own copy, use the link down in the description. It is an affiliate link, so if you use it, a little will come back to help support the channel, and it is always appreciated. In the meantime, have fun pixelating your bits, and, as always, happy mixing. Take care. See you soon.